Live at Onigashima. I'm Jimmy.
And I'm Anthony, and today we're doing chapter 1124, Best Friend. It was a heartfelt one. It was.
I feel like this was another good wrap-up chapter like we had last time. We said last time, oh, this could be the end of Wano, but maybe one more. This was the one more that I think
This is the one. Yeah, this wraps up everything. It cuts back exactly to the characters I wanted to see, Vivi and Morgan's right off the bat. I think that this is a fun conversation. Like, I like seeing Vivi and like actually debate the media.
I mean, Vivi, I like just how like adamant she is. She's like, I don't care what happens. Like, I'm not gonna like sell myself and kill my morals because of you.
Yeah, dude.
Like, if you kill me, whatever. Throw me off the ship. I don't care.
True that. And honestly,
which I feel like is them hinting. At maybe they like Morgan's drops her off.
Maybe Morgan's like enough and throws her off.
You know, she falls out of the sky, lands on the Straw Hat ship. You know.
I think so. I mean, I would love for her to be on the Straw Hat ship. They're on the way. I feel like this is the perfect crossing point. Like, we've been saying that this would be the moment for like Vivi, unless she like somehow gets the ELBAF or whatever, like this would be the moment intersees that she'd be dropped off. And wouldn't it be so cool if in this new string of, you know, intermediate chapters between the arcs, we get like all the resolutions that we need. Like, we get Vivi here as another new member, including Bonnie, including Lilith, and then, you know, Vegapunk's death, Kuma's death. Like, there's a lot of wrap up in these next few. Like, this is the wrap up chapter, but there's more to come, is what I'm saying.
Well, speaking of Vegapunk's death, it doesn't seem so deadly apparently, because Lilith came out and was like, oh, actually, I'm not all dead. Like,
yeah, I'm not all dead. Yeah,
she's like, my bodies are dead, but I live on. So I think that kind of confirms the theories people were having of like, oh yeah, all of this is stored in Vegapunk's brain on Punk Hazard, which it seems like she's still connected to in some way, maybe.
Yeah.
Because she was able to confirm like the others are still quote unquote alive.
Yeah, well, they said in the last chapter, I think, that you know, one of the Vegapunks asked when they were doing that plan, they're like, what does death mean for us? And he's like, good point. And then just like never expanded upon it. And I feel like now we're gonna learn even more about Vegapunk going through these other arcs. Like, we're gonna see even more feats of wisdom and smartness and genius. And, you know, like I agree with you. Like, maybe Punk Records is preserved just like the government wanted, and like it has to stay alive for York to stay alive to give them the mother flame or whatever. But maybe at some point Punk Records gets compromised and we see Lilith's reaction from that, or maybe she dies, you know. So that would
be so tragic if Lilith just randomly just like keels over and dies for no reason. Like, no one knows why. Just Punk Record dies and she just stops working.
York would probably die too, I would imagine. Well, I guess if Lilith died, then everything went to York. I don't know. Like, so this Vegapunk being alive thing is definitely gonna like have implications for the rest of the story. Because it's like, what if Lilith meets the Revolutionary Army? You know what I mean? Like, what's gonna be that kind of interaction? Is Lilith just gonna like act as, I mean, I'm sure just as if like all the memories of old Vegapunk of Stella are within her, and Dragon's gonna be like, who the hell are you?
I mean, I feel like Dragon knows about the Stellas though, because
true,
of the Stellas, of the
he was talking
the satellites. Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. I think it's interesting to think about what's going to end up happening with Lilith, because like we said, I don't really see her being there long term, but I mean, clearly she's traveling with them right now.
I feel like she's going to do a lot in a little bit of time. Like, I feel like now, I mean, obviously everybody's been saying about like Frankie and, you know, getting something out of Vegapunk, because like essentially Frankie's one of the people he looks up to, like, I guess not mentor ish, because he had Tom too, but whatever, you know what I mean. Like, I think that this is the opportunity for Lilith or Vegapunk to give something to Frankie and give him an upgrade, and you know, I among
it's
other
what we
things.
were looking for all of Egghead, but we just never really got it. Everything was kind of too fast paced. So yeah, during this in between, Frankie could get some major upgrades, honestly.
Yeah.
Or maybe like Vegapunk just passes all of his knowledge onto Frankie, because if Frankie is a robot, what stops him from having all of that knowledge uploaded into him also?
Yeah, true that. I wanted to talk a little bit about more towards the, I guess, middle beginning of the chapter. We cut back to Egghead, and we see Kizaru's reaction. So he's up. He didn't get affected by the Conqueror's Haki quite as bad.
Thank God. He would have been such a fraud if he did, to be honest.
Dang, bro. Yeah, I mean, it's true. Like, in this chapter, we get the definitive, like, you know, Kizaru is strong and he like stayed down on purpose. And it's good to get this emotional reaction from him, because like I feel like, you know, he probably could have gotten up and continued to fight, and like in the future we'll now see him as a strong character that probably could potentially even still be stronger than one of the Gorosei members, or like maybe not Luffy. I feel like Luffy's stronger than Kizaru at this point, but
And I completely agree. I think it's nice to see that Kizaru can always be just strong enough as Oda wants him to be, basically. Like, he does just enough work to get the job done. Sakazuki said, or I guess the Gorosei said, hey, kill Vegapunk. He didn't like it, but he did it.
Yeah.
Which also leads me to, I wonder what his motivations are and why he's so dedicated to the Marines. Like, what makes him like, hey, because he said, this was one of my best friends. And granted, we see in this chapter that he met Vegapunk after he was already in the Marines.
right.
But what got him to join and what makes him so gung-ho about following whatever they say?
Yeah, this makes Kizaru so much more interesting of a character. Like, I'm really excited to see where he goes in the final arc, and like if that's when he flips or like what happens. Like, I still do like the theory of how Eni's lobby was created, was that a former user of like the light fruit went up and used it to their awakening to like stop the beam, but like die in the process, and that's how like that formation of the floating island happened, is because there was like a person up there and it diverted the beam downwards or whatever. And I think that that would be a really cool thing for Kizaru to do, to like go against the government if he was going to turn. I don't, obviously it wasn't now. I thought Egghead was gonna be Lucia bombed, I'm not gonna lie, but clearly like that was just a fake out. But it's got to be used in the future, so we'll see what Kizaru's role is like in the long term, because I feel like since the Lucia bomb is also connected to Egghead, it just that would be an event that like Kizaru would be also connected to, because like all you know, it would just call back to all this Vegapunk stuff when it happens. So
yeah, I think Kizaru has like, I think like we said, I think he is gonna switch, just not as soon as we all thought. I think it's a longer transition and a longer story arc than we all imagined it would be here in Egghead.
Yeah.
But I like also that he's not afraid to talk back to Sakazuki.
Hell yeah.
He was like, bro, shut the fuck up. I just had to kill my best friend and you're telling me to get my gas here?
He said,
bro,
stay
get your ass
back
down here yourself and
yeah,
deal with
bro.
this
Yeah,
shit.
you're gonna get out of your desk, bro. Get off your desk.
Bro was like, I offered to fight 2 and you didn't let me, and you make me do this, and now you're complaining.
I know, dude. Yeah, like Sakazuki fans in the mud for real. He you know, he had like the classic military quote. He's like, "That was my bad, brother." but whatever, Sakazuki, bro. Go do something yourself. Stop barking at people.
Yeah. The other part of this chapter, though, that I was glad we got to see, because we kind of missed it last chapter, we started getting into it, was the whole party scene. But even before that, just I think what Zoro was saying was very interesting about Luffy being like, oh yeah, he's an emperor. Why is he like affected so badly about this guy dying? And I think it really goes to show that Luffy really does think he can protect everything and everyone. And even though all of us were considering this arc, oh, this is a huge W for the Straw Hats. Like Frankie was saying, he's like, it's a miracle we made out of there. All the fans are like, oh my god, this is huge for a Yonko crew. But Luffy himself doesn't feel that way. He still felt like this was a failure because he couldn't protect.
And you know what? I feel like
to.
that's a setup, and I'm glad you brought this up. Like, that's a really good point. And I feel like this is a setup for Luffy to have another big failure, but then I guess overcome it either very quickly or have a real big failure, have an arc of like downer, and then come back up. Because this is kind of what happened with Ace, right? Like, he lost his whole crew on Sabaody, and then immediately after he found out, oh my god, no, they actually are all alive. I was just teleported here. But in the moment, he was like completely devastated by that. You know, he thought his whole crew died. But then later on, it like, you know, reality check, he gets reality checked and Ace dies. And I feel like that could be a parallel that Oda's going for here. And this is kind of the setup of Zoro being like, listen, man, like, you're an emperor now. Like, you gotta, that shit can't phase you. You know what I mean?
So I want to throw something at you that might be kind of wild. So what if? So we're going to ELBAF. We know that after this chapter, and Usopp's whole arc is to be a brave warrior of the sea. So assumedly, this is going to happen on ELBAF, or at least having to deal with ELBAF.
Yeah.
What if Usopp does complete his dream, and then eventually later down the line, like maybe in the last arc, maybe Usopp dies or sacrifices himself, and that's the tragedy Luffy has to deal with, is actually losing a member of his crew.
But having to overcome it in the sense that, like, he has to know that that's kind of what Usopp wanted, is he wanted to die a brave warrior of the sea, and that his dream was fulfilled, and so he has to, like, get the, you know, somebody, probably Zoro, honestly, is gonna, like, shake Luffy back into action and be like,
he's gonna have that Jinbei moment
together. Yeah, he's gonna have, and I would dude, I would love that for Zoro if he got to have that moment with Luffy.
I think it'll happen eventually. All the setups are there.
I don't know if Usopp's gonna, like, die or if it's gonna be a fake out. It would kind of be like, in that regard, it would be annoying if it was a fake out, you know, like, I feel like,
yeah, I would really hate if that type of thing was a fake out, to be honest.
Yeah, like, Usopp dying is the only, like, he's the only Straw Hat I could see dying because of that. I don't know if it's gonna happen or if Oda's gonna keep it a happy story, but I feel like that would be, like, so perfect for Usopp. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see what happens. You know, also people are calling Zoro a fraud for this quote. I don't know if you've seen this, but he was like, you know, shitting on Luffy for this, and then people were calling him a hypocrite because on Wano he was like, "Oh, I can't forgive Orochi for this. I'm gonna avenge Toniyasu's death when he died," and so, like. Some people are dogging on Luffy for that.
There's a distinction between Zoro and Luffy, though. Zoro says it at the beginning of his statement. It's pathetic. He's an emperor now. An old man dying shouldn't affect him. So, if they're comparing that...
So you're calling Zoro an emperor?
An emperor, exactly.
Zoro I've seen that too, dude. Oh my god. Nah. Zoro, listen, I do put Zoro... You saw our Law versus Zoro video. I'm just gonna say that. I'm just gonna say, for those of you who saw the Law Zoro video, you know where I stand. You know where I stand on this, cause like I think Zoro's the shit, but Emperor level, he
do you really think he can go 1v1 with Kaido? He almost did.
Nah, yeah.
Okay, maybe not almost.
I don't know, but like maybe soon we could do a Zoro Kizaru fight. Like, how do you think that would go? You know what I mean? Like Zoro is that guy.
At the beginning of this arc, I thought we were going to get a Zoro Kizaru fight. I thought Zoro was gonna win, so I could definitely still see it happening in the future.
True that. Well, a lot of power scaling from that one sip of ale that he's having, but
speaking of that, did you see in the background of the party scene they gave Bonnie a drink? They're giving the child alcohol. No. This 12-year-old girl is just drinking.
Dude, yeah, I didn't even see that, dog. Come on, she's got apple juice.
Yeah, of course she does.
Yeah, I really like this last panel. I feel like this definitely concludes the arc. We get the narrator, and so the ship's set course to the northeast and a long way to land of the giants. And I love the moment from Robin and Chopper too. She just like hugs Chopper out of nowhere and is like, "We're gonna go."
It's so cute, and Robin's just like, "Yay, Saul."
So good.
But one of the last things I wanted to talk about this chapter is clearly this last panel that everyone's talking about. I have two thoughts about who this could be. One, I think it could be Shanks. I think that does look like his cloak, and he's drinking like Shanks doesn't need to. I think that's like the Occam's razor approach.
My problem with that is that we've seen Shanks a lot this arc, and it would be weird to do this now, you know?
So my other thought is, what if that is King Loki, the king of ELBAF that we're seeing, and maybe this is the first silhouette we get to see of him?
Maybe. I mean, do you think that Loki is a drinker? I mean, he could be.
Of course, look at all these giants. They're all drinking like crazy.
I guess so. But these are pirates. But they're pirates. They're pirates. That's racist, bro. They're pirates. All the pirates be drinking. Some of this more, civilized people in the homeland. We saw them with Shanks' crew. What do you mean? They're not civilized. It's one of the giants.
They're a class of warriors. That's what they're stated to be.
No, they have. Yeah, maybe. They have warriors. All right, I'm not going to get into this. But the other people that the silhouette could look like, Saul is another candidate, right? Because
I feel like we've seen Saul, though, and he doesn't really have this type of shape.
Yeah, it
But
looks like a human. It looks like a person, like especially that
yeah.
hand holding the bottle, like it looks like a person. Some people are saying, a lot of people are saying the big I guess like other character in the conversation is Scopper Gaban.
Yeah, I've seen that one too. My problem with that is literally every time we've gotten a silhouette ever since we've known about Scopper Gabon, people are like, it's Scopper Gabon, it's Scopper Gabon,
Yeah.
it's Scopper Gabon. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, like you can't just say it every single time and then when you're right, you're like, oh my god, I was right.
That's true. Yeah,
Like,
people said that about Shiki too. People do that with Shiki too.
yeah, exactly.
But what
Well,
if it's
if I
Shiki?
had to throw like if I was a betting man, I would bet that it's Shanks, to be honest, because it just makes the most sense.
Grazer, you know, I think it's Big Mom, bro. It looks just like Big Mom.
Yeah,
And
it's
Big Mom's
Big-
gonna be on
right.
ELBAF, so I think
That's true.
Big Mom. That's Linlin, bro. That's Charlotte.
I think you're right, actually. I need to change my bet.
All right.
But yeah, sadly, there is one bad thing about this chapter and only one bad thing.
Come on, say
This
it.
is
Just
break
say it.
next week.
All right. Well, you know, Oda needs a break every once in a while. These chapters have not been lining up, but I feel like next week should be 3 in a row. I'm just crossing
I don't
my
know. I
fingers
have
at
to
this
look
point.
at the schedule. But yeah, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and let us know what you thought about Egghead in the
I would
comments
say
below.
so. I feel like
this is the
we
last
went through
chapter.
a
So,
lot.
what's your rating? Let's hear your guys' ratings.
Yeah, what's your rating of Egghead? I would give Egghead like, I don't know if we should do like a definitive video on this, but I'm gonna give Egghead like,
I think it's for sure in my top
100%. Oh no, 100, dude. It's probably my top 5 also. I would say 100%. Like it should be in everybody's top 10 for sure.
Yeah, it was just too good of an arc. Too much happened.
Like I'd be like,
so much cool fighting.
it'd be questionable if you didn't have this in your top 10. Like if you didn't have it in your top 5, like I feel like there's reasons where, you know, you could put another arc over this arc for whatever, but like not top 10. Come on.
Agreed.
Pretty top 10 arc. All right, y'all. Let us know what y'all think in the comments, and until next time, peace.
Peace.